Alright, welcome back to Make Shit Run. This right here is a 383 stroker. This is going to be the new heart and soul of Dog Bite, the 85 Z51 Corvette that I'm building for the track. This thing is about 550 horsepower, about 550 to 575 torque. It's a pretty hefty little monster the way it is. It has lots of room to grow. In other words, upgrades like nitrous or turbos if I want. Definitely a bigger cam if I want to go naturally aspirated. So it's got a mild cam in it right now, but with what it's got in it, it should produce about 550 horsepower. So anyway, it came with this Meloden pan. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pull this off and put another pan on there, one that's specifically made for the Corvette. This may clear, it may not, but I don't like the amount of oil pan that would be sticking out of the bottom of the car right here. Okay, the car is low enough as it is already. I don't need to be grabbing that, scraping it, or otherwise damaging it for hanging down too low. The other pan is a baffled pan, and it is made for road racing. So it's going to be a nice piece in and of itself. This is a beautiful pan. I'm going to pull this off and swap it out. So that's going to be the first step towards getting this this Corvette back up and running. Alright, we'll take a look inside once I get it off. Alright, so there we are with the other oil pump replaced. I don't know if this windage tray goes with that other pan or not, but keeping it there anyway. And the pump itself is bolted on, ready to go. Okay, so now we can put this Canton road racing pan on here and see how it looks. Alright, well there she is with the new oil pan on. Yep. Torque down. Studs all the way around. Bolts, all studs. Practically everything in this is studs. Heads are studded. Mains are studded. So are the rods. So everything's back on. Had a little bit of trouble getting the pan back on, and this pan had been on the engine as a dry fit, but they never actually ran the engine with the pan, but they did turn it over several times. There's a small baffle inside there because this is a stroker. You could see a couple of marks on this little side tray on the baffle. So I took a brass hammer to it and flattened it just a little bit, just to make sure that it got clearance, but it was still very, very tight trying to get the pan on past the oil pump for some reason. So, but it's all on, it's all torqued down, all ready to go. Flip the motor over here in a second, throw the oil filter back on, and she'll be ready to put in the car here pretty quick. Alright. Let's see if we can make shit run. Alright, and there she is. One bullet ready to go. Yeah, I know it's got a kind of cheesy setup there, but I'll tell you what, this is one of the best belt systems that you're going to come across if you're going to use a belt system on your car. If you're going to run an electric pump with electric fans, you still got run an alternator, and this multi-V setup is very much preferred, especially since you don't have the fins, the cooling fins on a lot of these alternators. On the old school ones, the fins would actually, under a certain RPM, would start to expand and they would kick the belt right off. So this is actually a pretty good setup for high speed. It does have the extra pulleys right here. I'm going to put a power steering pump on here for the Corvette Corvette will have power steering. Will not have another car without power steering. Last two hot rods I've had have no power steering. The Nova has a power steering box, and that really makes it tough. And so that also makes it really tough on the bearings, and the steering column. It's not supposed to endure that much stress. So I also got to figure out power steering system on the Nova. Got to get a big block. Problem with it is it has a short stubby nose water pump. Okay, you can see this is what we would call a long nose water pump. For Corvettes, they have a little room in the front, so the actual water pumps are a lot skinnier for those applications. When you have that, you have different pulley arrangement down here, and you also have different brackets, because you have to actually set the power steering pump further back in order for it to line up. This, however, has a little space in here, so I can tell this is made for a regular power steering pump. If the bracket in the Corvette doesn't work, well, that's okay. Not a problem. Alright, so, killer. Let's get it on. Make shit run.